Welcome the rare gems. Some men learn the hard way. They hurt a woman who never needed them in the first place, only to realize, too late, that she was the rarest kind. A Sigma female isn't just different, she's a force. She doesn't beg, she doesn't chase, and she sure as hell doesn't wait around for someone to figure out her worth. And that's exactly why men come back. At first, they mistake her independence for something replaceable. They assume she'll crumble, that she'll still be there when they're done playing their games. But a Sigma female, she doesn't do heartbreak the way others do. She doesn't drown in sorrow. She reinvents herself. She takes the pain and turns it into power. She levels up so much that by the time they realize what they lost, she's already 5 steps ahead, living a life they can't reach. To the men who resonate with the Sigma mindset, this is your power too. You don't chase, you don't break, and you don't let temporary losses define you. When people walk away or take you for granted, don't waste energy proving your worth. Instead, become so undeniable that they regret ever doubting you, because the truth is, some people only recognize greatness once it's gone. And by then, it's never coming back. Let's dive into 11 reasons why men come back after hurting Sigma women. Number 1. He thought she'd be available forever. Some men operate with a dangerous assumption that a strong woman will always be there, no matter how they treat her. They think they can hurt her, walk away, and return whenever they please. After all, in their minds she won't really leave. But a Sigma female, she doesn't play by those rules. She isn't the type to stick around out of fear of loneliness. She doesn't wait for apologies. She doesn't chase closure. And she definitely doesn't put her life on pause for someone who failed to appreciate her when he had the chance. She gives respect, loyalty, and depth. But the moment she senses she's being undervalued, she detaches completely. Not with anger, not with drama, just with quiet, undeniable finality. And that's when panic sets in. See, most men expect resistance when they mistreat a woman. They expect tears, late-night texts, and attempts to fix things. But with a Sigma female, there's nothing, just silence. Just an empty space where she once was. And that absence? It's loud. That's when he starts to feel it, that deep, unsettling feeling in his chest. He scrolls through his phone, expecting her name to pop up. It doesn't. He runs into other women, expecting to feel the same connection. He doesn't. Because here's the brutal truth. She wasn't waiting for him to figure things out. She was moving forward. And by the time he realizes she was the rarest woman he ever had, she's already too far ahead for him to catch up. He comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he finally understands what he lost. But the Sigma female, she's already built a life where he no longer belongs. And that, right there, is the moment he learns a lesson he'll never forget. Some doors don't reopen. Number 2. He thought hurting her would give him power, but it made him powerless. Some men hurt women just to see what happens. They play mind games, pull away, or create drama, thinking they can manipulate emotions and keep control. It's a test. How much does she care? How far can I push? Will she fight for me? They assume that if she reacts, whether with tears, anger, or desperation, they've won. But when a man tries this with a Sigma female, he learns a painful truth. She doesn't play the game, she ends it. He expected a reaction, maybe some begging, a few late-night texts, or at least a confrontation. But instead, nothing, just cold, clean silence. Instead of seeing her spiral, he sees her vanish. No explanations, no second chances, just gone. And that's when the panic sets in. See, men like this don't actually want to lose a woman. They just want to know they could lose her if they wanted to. They want control, but when she walks away without hesitation, he realizes he never had control to begin with. Now, instead of feeling powerful, he feels powerless. He thought he had the upper hand, but all he did was push away the one woman who didn't need him. And unlike others, she won't come back. She won't give him another shot, no matter how much he regrets it. That's what breaks him, not just the loss, but the finality of it. He wanted dominance. Instead, he lost access. He wanted to test her devotion. Instead, he proved she was never dependent on him in the first place. And now, long after she's moved on, he's left replaying every moment, realizing too late that the power he thought he had, it was never his. It was always hers. Number 3. He realizes his replacement was an illusion. Some men walk away thinking they're upgrading, They assume that no matter how incredible a woman is, there's always someone better, someone easier, more agreeable, less challenging. And when they hurt a Sigma female, they convince themselves she's just another chapter in their story, nothing more. But reality hits different. At first, he feels confident. He steps into his new situation thinking he's won. Maybe this new woman is more available, more eager to please, less demanding of his growth. Maybe she doesn't challenge him the way the Sigma female did, doesn't call out his weaknesses, doesn't push him to evolve. And at first, that feels good. Until it doesn't. Because soon enough, the cracks start to show. He notices the lack of depth in conversations, the forced admiration that feels more like obligation than genuine respect. He realizes that she isn't independent, she's dependent. Not strong, just agreeable, not deep, just easy to impress. And suddenly, what he thought was an upgrade feels like a downgrade in every possible way. That's when the truth sinks in. He didn't just lose a woman, he lost the woman. The one who stood on her own 2 feet, who didn't need him, but chose him. The one who respected herself too much to beg for his love. The one who made him want to be better, not for her, but for himself. And now, he's stuck with an illusion, a woman who fills the space but not the soul, a presence without substance, a relationship that looks good on the outside, but feels painfully empty on the inside. That's why he comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he finally understands there was no better option. There was only the Sigma female, and he let her slip away. Number 4, he misses the respect she gave that others don't. Respect is a rare currency, and most men don't realize its value until they lose it. When a Sigma female loves a man, she does so with intention. She doesn't belittle, nag, or manipulate. She gives him something far more powerful. Genuine respect. She sees his strengths, admires his potential, and encourages his ambitions. Not out of obligation, but because she chooses to. She doesn't compete with him, she elevates him. She doesn't try to control him. She trusts him to lead. And that kind of respect, it's intoxicating. It makes a man feel seen in a way few women ever make him feel. But here's the catch. A Sigma female's respect isn't unconditional. It's earned, and once it's lost, it's gone for good. Maybe he thought he could take her admiration for granted. Maybe he assumed she'd keep looking at him like he was unstoppable, even if he started moving like a coward. Maybe he thought she'd always believe in him, even when he stopped believing in himself. But the moment he gave her a reason to withdraw that respect, whether through betrayal, dishonesty, or just sheer mediocrity, she did exactly that. And when she did, she didn't yell, complain, or beg him to change. She just stopped looking at him the same way. And that hit harder than any argument ever could. Now, as he moves through life, he notices the difference. Other women might admire him for his status, his looks, or what he can offer them, but it never feels real. Because it isn't. It's conditional, transactional, replaceable. The Sigma female's respect, on the other hand, was pure. It was built on who he was, not what he had. And now that he's lost it, he realizes how rare it truly was. That's why he comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he finally understands. The way she once looked at him, he'll never find that again. Number 5. He thought time would weaken her, but it made her stronger. Some men walk away assuming time will break a woman down. They expect her to sit with the pain, replay the memories, and secretly hope for a reunion. They picture her checking her phone at night, waiting for a message that never comes, questioning her worth. But a Sigma female? She doesn't operate like that. She doesn't drown in heartbreak. She transforms through it. She takes the pain and turns it into wisdom. She turns rejection into refinement. She turns every ounce of hurt into fuel. So when he comes back, expecting to find the same woman he left behind, reality slaps him harder than any regret ever could. Because instead of a broken version of herself, he finds an upgraded version. The woman who once loved him, she's gone. In her place stands a stronger, sharper, more powerful version. One who sees the past with clarity, not longing. And here's the part that eats him alive. Her glow-up wasn't about him. She didn't evolve to make him jealous. She didn't level up to prove a point. She simply became more of who she was meant to be. Because that's who she is. Growth is her nature. Reinvention is her instinct. No man, no heartbreak, no betrayal can take that away. Now, as he watches from the sidelines, he realizes the painful truth. He needed her far more than she ever needed him. And the saddest part? He no longer has access to the masterpiece she became. Because while he was out searching for something better, she was busy becoming something irreplaceable. That's why he comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he finally sees what he lost. And it's far too late. Number 6. He realizes she was the prize, not him. It's easy for a man to believe he's the catch. Society, media, and even his ego feed him that narrative. He's the one people should be vying for. He's the one who holds the power. Women should be grateful to have him. But here's the thing. A Sigma female doesn't care about the status quo. She doesn't follow the script, and she certainly doesn't see him as the prize. At first, he might not have understood this. He thought her quiet confidence, her independence, and her refusal to chase were signs of weakness. He believed that her distance meant she was unsure of him, that she'd eventually fall into line. But when she walked away, something shifted. Suddenly the spotlight was on him. He was left with the weight of his decisions, staring at the empty space where she once stood. And that's when it hit him like a ton of bricks. She was the prize, not him. She wasn't just any woman, she was rare in her strength, in her self-respect, in her ability to remain untouched by his ego. While he thought he was the one everyone should want, he now sees the brutal truth. She didn't need him. She wasn't clinging to him. She wasn't looking for validation or approval. She was whole on her own. And that's what made her priceless. In contrast, he now realizes he was just another guy in her life, a blip in her journey. He wasn't her center, he wasn't her world, and now that he's lost her, he finally understands the emptiness of his own world without her. That's why he comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he's finally seeing her worth in a way he never did before. He's realizing that she was the rare find, the treasure that slipped through his fingers. And now, it's too late to claim her again. Number 7. He wants redemption for his ego, not for love. When a man comes back after hurting a woman, he'll often tell himself it's because he's changed. He'll say it's about love, about realizing what he lost, and maybe, in some cases, even apologize. But if you look closer, you'll see something else, something much more revealing. What he's really chasing isn't redemption for his actions or love for the woman. He's after redemption for his ego. Most men don't come back because they've genuinely evolved or because they now understand the depth of their mistakes. No, they return because they can't bear the thought of being the one who was forgotten. They can't stand the idea that in her world they've become irrelevant. They're desperately trying to prove to themselves and to her that they still matter. But here's the truth. Deep down, he knows he doesn't. A Sigma female doesn't beg for attention. She doesn't seek validation from anyone. When a man walks away, she may feel the pain, but she doesn't crumble. Instead, she moves forward, she grows, she evolves, and that's exactly what he can't stand. She didn't need him to survive. She didn't need him to feel complete. So when he shows up, it's not because he's suddenly seen the light and realized how amazing she is. It's because his pride is wounded. He thought he was the one who held the power. But now he's faced with the fact that she's moved on. And he hasn't even crossed her mind. The power dynamics have shifted and his ego can't handle it. He wants to be reminded that he still holds value. He wants to reclaim his position in her life, not out of love, but out of sheer pride. He needs to feel like he's important again. But here's the kicker. She doesn't need him to make that happen. And that's the hardest pill for him to swallow. Number 9. He can't figure out why she's not bitter. It's almost expected that when someone's hurt, they'll react. They'll cry, shout, or at least harbor some kind of bitterness. Hurt people often wear their pain on their sleeve, turning it into anger or obsession. It's the way the world works, right? The more you hurt, the more you fight back. But then there's the Sigma female, who doesn't follow the script. When she's hurt, she doesn't lash out. She doesn't cry for sympathy or dwell on the wrongs done to her. Instead, she does something unexpected. She moves on. Just like that. No drama, no revenge, and most shockingly, no bitterness. To the man who hurt her, this is a hard pill to swallow. He expected anger, he expected tears. He even expected her to come crawling back, seeking closure, apologies, or some form of recognition. But none of that happens. She just keeps walking forward, living her life as if he never existed in it. And that's where he's stuck. Because no matter how much he tries to convince himself that he wasn't wrong, that his actions weren't that bad, her lack of reaction sends him spiraling. He can't fathom why someone could be so unbothered by the hurt he caused. Isn't she supposed to be angry? Isn't she supposed to care? The truth is, she doesn't need to hold on to the pain. It doesn't define her, and it doesn't give her power. Her indifference is more powerful than any vengeful act. It's a clear message. She doesn't need him to be whole, and her life moves on just fine without him. And that's the thing that keeps him up at night. The fact that she's not bitter, she's simply indifferent. He no longer occupies space in her mind, and for him that's a loss too painful to bear. Number 10. He learns the hard way that some doors don't reopen. Most men live with the assumption that no matter how badly they mess up, there's always a way back. They think they can come back into someone's life, apologize, and things will pick up where they left off. But that's not how it works with a Sigma female. She doesn't believe in second chances, not because she's holding on to grudges or doing it out of spite, but because once she sees the truth, there's no unseeing it. It's not about forgiving or forgetting. It's about understanding. She doesn't go back to who you were, to the person who hurt her, because she knows that version of you doesn't deserve a place in her life anymore. What men fail to realize is that when a Sigma female walks away, it's final. There's no lingering hope, no waiting for you to change or redeem yourself. Once she understands the truth about you, your intentions, your actions, there's no pretending she hasn't seen it. That door doesn't reopen. And this finality, this sharp line between the past and the future, it's what devastates him the most. It's not just the loss of her presence that cuts deep. It's the realization that there's no coming back from the damage. It's the painful knowledge that she isn't waiting around for him to fix things or make up for what's been done. For the first time, he sees that her strength isn't just in her ability to walk away, it's in her ability to never look back. And that's the part that breaks him. Because no matter how hard he tries to reach out, no matter how many apologies he offers, he realizes too late. Some doors don't reopen. The truth is, she's already moved on. And now, he's just a reminder of what she never needed in the first place. Number 11. He can't recreate the depth she offered. Most men are used to shallow connections, relationships where they can get away with surface-level effort and still be adored. They're used to women who mirror their desires, tell them what they want to hear, and play along with their illusions. But a Sigma female, she does the opposite. She forces them to level up. She isn't interested in meaningless small talk or fake affection. She isn't impressed by charm that lacks substance. She doesn't tolerate half-hearted effort, and she definitely doesn't stroke a man's ego just to keep him around. With her, a man has two choices: grow or go. At first, he may have found her intensity overwhelming. She asked the kind of questions that made him think. She held up a mirror to his flaws, not to criticize, but to challenge him to be better. She wasn't content with potential. She needed proof of growth. And while he was with her, he may not have realized how rare that was. He may have thought he could walk away and find someone just like her, someone who offered the same depth without demanding so much of him. But when he tries to recreate it, he fails. Suddenly, every new connection feels hollow. The conversations lack meaning, the admiration feels forced, the emotional depth he once took for granted, nowhere to be found. Because the truth is, he didn't just lose a woman, he lost a standard. And now he's stuck in a cycle of chasing something he didn't value when he had it. That's why he comes back. Not because he's changed, but because he finally understands what he lost. But by the time he figures it out, the Sigma female has already moved on, offering her depth only to those strong enough to match it. Conclusion: the unseen power of the Sigma female. Men come back after hurting a Sigma female for many reasons, But it all boils down to one thing. They've underestimated her. They didn't realize the strength it takes to walk away, the power in not needing anyone to validate her worth. When a Sigma female closes a door, it's not out of spite or bitterness. It's because she's seen the truth, and she knows her value. What they don't understand is that she's not the one who's lost. She walks away with her dignity intact, while they're left grappling with the realization that they had something rare, something real, and they let it slip away. Her indifference, her ability to move forward without looking back, is the part that haunts them the most. If you've ever been hurt by someone, remember this: never lose sight of your own power. Your worth isn't defined by someone else's actions or regrets. A Sigma female doesn't chase validation, and neither should you. Stand strong in who you are, and understand that if someone walks away from you, it's their loss, not yours. Take it as a lesson. Walk with the confidence that you don't need to settle for anything less than the respect, depth, and honesty you deserve. The ones who truly matter will see your worth. The ones who don't, they'll be the ones regretting their decisions long after you've moved on. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.